Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about la A personal. And in order to discuss the la A personal, we kind of have to know what are the parts of our speech, of our sentence, more specifically the direct object. Because if you look over here at the personal A, um, it tells you that when the direct object is a definite person or persons, an a precedes the noun in Spanish. So in order to know whether we're going to plug in an a personal, we need to know what the direct object is. Okay, so if you look over here, I've written out a couple of sentences. Pablo va a comprar un carro. Yo voy a comer un sándwich. Anita llama a su amigo Luis. Now, a has more than one meaning, so you may find it in a sentence, but we're going to focus on the a personal. So in this sentence, Pablo va a comprar un carro. I always like to start with the verb because how you determine the subject and the direct object is dependent upon the verb's relationship. It depends on their relationship with the verb. So actually, let me make that smaller. Okay, so in this sentence, it's future. So we actually have a helping verb along with our verb. Va a comprar, meaning is going to buy. So the subject of your sentence is who is doing that buying, and the direct object is going to be what is being bought. So the who is doing that buying, is Pablo, so that's my subject. And what is being bought is a car, and that is my direct object. You'll also notice that in Spanish, if it's a statement, your subject tends to come before the verb. So if you've got two nouns in your sentence, you've got Pablo and you've got carro, it makes most sense that Pablo is going to be the subject because this is a statement and Pablo came before the verb. Okay. The next sentence I've got future again. Yo voy a comer un sándwich. Voy a comer is my verb. Who's doing the eating? That's how I find my subject. I am. I is my subject. What's being eaten? A sandwich. So sandwich is my direct object. Okay, and the next sentence, it says, Anita llama a su amigo Luis. This time we don't have future tense. Llama is my verb. Whoops. Llama is my verb. Okay, who's doing the calling? Anita, that's my subject. And who's being called? Her friend Luis, that's my direct object. Okay, so now when do I use the a personal? If the direct object is a definite person or persons, we're going to use the a. Okay, so we're looking at definite person or persons. So if I go over here and I'm looking at, actually let me make it green since we're talking about direct object, might as well make it match. Okay, so if I'm going over here, my green is un carro, is that a person? No, so then I'm not going to put a personal a between my verb and my direct object because my direct object is an inanimate object. And the next one, yo voy a comer un sándwich. My direct object is a sandwich. That's not a person, so I don't need an a. However, in the third one, who's being called is Luis. Luis is a person, so I am going to need a personal a. I am going to need the personal a. Okay, the personal a is not used with the direct object that is an unspecified or an indefinite person, and that reads like, if your sentence reads like a want ad, actually let me change this, or personal ad, okay? You're not going to use the personal a. So, Ana quiere un novio inteligente. So, this is like her personal ad. She wants an intelligent boyfriend, but she's not talking about a specific person. She's just talking in general, or about an idealized person. So, if your sentence is reading like a want ad or a personal ad, no personal a. Okay. The preposition a followed by the definite article el contracts to al. So whenever you have a, el, you change it to al. So Alicia visita al médico. So if I look here, here's my verb, visita. Okay, my subject is Alicia. She's the one that's doing the visiting. And who she's visiting is the doctor. So I need an a, but I needed an el with the doctor, so I change it to al. When we'll talk about the interrogative in a minute. Okay, the personal a is required before every specific human direct object in a series. So here I've got visito a Emilio y a Lola. So my subject is visit. Okay, who's doing the visiting? There's not a subject written out this time, but you would focus on the ending of visitar, which is an O. So that means yo, I visit, and who I'm visiting are actually more than one person. I'm visiting Emilio and Lola. So because those are people and they're specific people, I need to put the a. Also, what I failed to mention up here is that if your direct object is a definite person or persons, but it follows the verb tener, you don't use it. So here I've got Ricardo, Julia y Ricardo tienen un hijo. So tener is my verb. My subject is Julia y Ricardo. And my direct object is un hijo. Is un hijo, but I don't put a personal a because of tener. So just remember that. Omitted tener. Okay, and lastly, when the interrogative quien requests information about the direct object, the personal a precedes it. So here it says, ¿A quién llama Elisa? So when you're trying to find, so your subject is llama, which is to call. And then your subject this time is going to be Elisa, because when you make a question, your subject comes after the verb. So it's Elisa who's doing the calling. And what we're trying to identify is who does Elisa call? So if you're trying to identify your direct object, you put an a in front of the quien. Okay, if I put quien llama Elisa, then what I'd be saying is who's calling Elisa. I'm trying to identify the subject, and Alicia would be my or Elisa would be my direct object. Okay, so let's do practice. Juan Antonio is a student at the Universidad Francisco Marroquín in Ciudad de Guatemala. Read the conversation between him and Ana Maria, underline the direct objects, and write the personal a whenever necessary. Okay, so oye Juan, blank, ¿quién ves todos los días? So that's asking you, Juan, who do you see every day? So who would be doing the seeing? It would be Juan Antonio. So we want to know who he's seeing, and who he's seeing would be the we're trying to identify the direct object. So we put a little a here. Yo siempre veo Tomás. My verb is ver. So it's I whom doing the seeing. Who's being seen is Tomás. That's your direct object. Is that a definite person or persons? Yes. So I would put an a here. Okay. Tomamos café todas las tardes. So tomar is your verb, like to drink. And who's doing the drinking? We are, even though it's not mentioned because I have AMOS. Because remember in Spanish that how you spell the verb lets you know who your subject is. And what is it that's being drunk? Café, which is a direct object. And so this direct object, is it a definite persons or persons? No, so we're not gonna put anything here. Okay. Ven muchos amigos allí. So it's saying, do y'all see a lot of your friends there? So who's doing, so ver is the verb. Who's doing the seeing is y'all. That Ian lets us know. And who's being seen? The friends. Friends are definite persons, so I need to put in the a. Okay. Sí, claro, vemos Mercedes y Gustavo. So again, here's my verb, vemos. Oops. Okay, and who's doing the seeing? The spelling of ver lets us know it's EMOS, so it's we. We're doing the seeing. Who are we seeing? We are seeing Mercedes y Gustavo. Okay, so then those are both specific people or definite people. So I am going to need the a, and because it's a series, and according to this, whenever you have a series, you put an a in front of both. So I'm going to need an a here as well. Okay, a veces sus compañeros de cuarto toman un refresco con nosotros también. Tomar is the verb. Who's doing this drinking? They are, meaning the roommates. And what are they drinking? They're drinking a refreshment or a soda. That's not a direct, that's not a definite person. So we're gonna not put anything there. Son interesantes sus compañeros de cuarto. Tomás y Gustavo tienen un compañero de cuarto muy simpático. So even though here I've got the verb, and then my subject would be they, en for Tomás y Gustavo, and what they have is a person, un compañero de cuarto, but because it's the verb tener, I don't put a personal a, even though my direct object happens to be a person or a definite person. Okay. Esta noche todos menos Gustavo vamos a ver una película muy buena. So the verb is vamos a ver. Your subject is we, AMOS. Okay, and what we're going to see is a movie. Okay, movie is not a specific person, so I don't put the a. Okay. Gustavo no puede ir porque tiene que visitar padre de su novia. Okay, so here is tener que, oops. Tiene que visitar. Okay, so who has to do that? It's Gustavo, he's the subject. Okay, and who does he have to visit? The father of his girlfriend. That is a definite person, so we're going to put the a. Invitas mi amigo Héctor también. So our verb is invitas. Whoops. Who's doing the inviting? You are. The ending lets us know that. Who's being invited? Mi amigo Héctor. That is a specific person. So we are going to plug in the a here.